Hello, I'm James Mandelbaum, Field CTO of Identity at RSA. Today I'm here to talk about SecurID Access and I'll give you a solution overview. The agenda, we're going to talk about the objectives of the course and what our expected outcomes are. We're going to cover the 3 different versions of SecurID Access, what's included in each version, how they're sold, your pricing options, and of course the authenticators available. But before we get into that, it's important to understand that identity is all about risk. It's understanding the risk, challenging appropriate to that level of risk, and moving from just multi-factor into identity assurance, answering the question, are they who they claim to be? The objectives for this course is to understand the versions and how they apply to each use case presented by your client, knowing which version to recommend, how it's sold and how you quote them out, and ultimately to be confident in what you're quoting and selling is the best option for that client. So let's get started. There are 3 versions of SecurID Access: Base, Enterprise, and Premium. In Base, when you sell a user license, a user gets a copy of Authentication Manager. That gives them 1 primary and 1 replica. That means they can deploy 2 authentication managers either in a single data center or in 2 different data centers. They also get an on-prem identity router and a cloud instance. The attributes they can leverage within that identity router to provide the additional context for identity assurance include anything in the AD or LDAP, which gives them the ability to leverage who the user is, what groups they belong to, what identity store they're coming from, what OUs, anything they want to use to make go, no-go, or challenge decisions. They also get IP address attributes, which lets them know if they're off the network, if they're on the network, and if they're on, how they got on the network. All of that gives them some pretty good capabilities to make some go, no-go decisions around access. When they move to Enterprise, they change from 1 primary and 1 replica to 15 replicas. Again, depending upon the architecture of the client, how many data centers and where they want to deploy them, this gives them the most flexibility. It also comes with AMBA, Authentication Manager Bulk Administrator. This is a tool, it's a scripting tool that allows them to automate common bulk tasks. They can do bulk administration of users, they can do bulk invites, bulk onboarding, they can do token replacements, they can do PIN resets, they can do a lot of things in bulk, but automating and scripting all the common admin tasks. When you move to Premium, you get everything you had with Enterprise, but it expands on the static attributes. Where we used to have just AD, LDAP, and IP, we now add things like GeoIP and geofencing, trusted networks, trusted locations. That's where you can drop a pin on a map and know where it's coming from, the known browsers, your authentication source, your authentication type, and user agent. All of those give you more robust capabilities for creating some static rules. But it also builds on that identity confidence engine. How confident am I that the person really is who they claim to be? So we could start looking at anomalous behavior. Is it normal based on time of day? Is it normal for them to access this application? Is it normal for them to access this application from a specific device? What about access patterns? Is this their normal authentication velocity? They normally log into this app to this app to this app in this rapid succession. What about location? Do they access these applications from these locations? It starts looking at building a baseline for normal behavior to provide that confidence when things don't look normal in the future. This is what is commonly referred to as machine learning. From a pricing perspective, Base and Enterprise are sold both as perpetual, which they always have, meaning a one-time purchase that they get the license in perpetuity, with annual maintenance fees to cover that 24-hour follow-the-sun support and updates for the product. Or you can subscribe to it like a SaaS model. That helps them if they are somebody that needs to operate out of an OpEx model versus a CapEx model. When we move to Premium, that is a subscription only. So this means you may find a challenge from users that already have a perpetual license and you're telling them you need to give back that perpetual license and move into a subscription. When you run into those scenarios, my recommendation, involve your leadership to determine the best course of action and a best solution to meet your client's needs. Authenticators work in all versions. So it doesn't matter what version you have, Base, Enterprise, and Premium, you can take advantage of all your authenticators. The legacy hard token, those are sold term only. There are absolute use cases for this, and those are not going away anytime soon. Soft tokens can be sold as both term or subscription, whatever makes the most sense for your client. Now we're moving into the more modern authenticator with that MFA authenticator, which is subscription only. The authenticator out of the box supports push, biometrics, and an OTP. one-time passcode, which is a token code. With that MFA Authenticator license, though, you also get the ability to get FIDO token support using the U2F standard. So you don't need to ask which ones are supported. As long as it meets the U2F standard, we will absolutely support it. With that MFA Authenticator license also comes the ability to load a Windows 10 Authenticator on the desktop. That's fully featured, giving you push and biometrics capabilities. The MFA Authenticator today in the Android version supports proximity. What that does for you is if I walk up to my machine, hit the spacebar, it's going to look to make sure my mobile device is in proximity to my unit, and if it is, it's going to unlock my Windows desktop. We support SMS and phone call. Those are sold in monthly packs. Use them or lose them. And of course, the traditional on-demand risk-based authenticator that's been around since version 8.0 still exists. It's a one-time purchase. There are no maintenance to it as well. That does require you to leverage your own SMS provider, unlike the one above, which is we're providing the SMS. That's why they're sold in monthly packs. If you have any questions, more information is available at the web at www.rsa.com. And while you're there, why not recommend that your clients, as well as yourself, try out the SecurID Access so you can get a chance to see how easy push, biometric, and OTP can be. Thank you very much.